Hello! Today we are discussing the book called Will Africa Feed China?
The book is called Will Africa Feed China? And it examines the conventional wisdom on what we think the Chinese are doing in Africa with regard to agricultural engagement. And I think that conventional wisdom really has 4 points. People think that the Chinese have acquired a large amount of land. They think that the Chinese government is leading this effort. They think that the purpose is to grow food to send back to China. And they think that they're sending a lot of Chinese farmers to do that. We were really getting a lot wrong on what they were doing and really misunderstanding it. This isn't accurate. So it was fascinating to actually discover what the Chinese were doing in Africa and how little resemblance that bore to what we thought they were doing. And we basically did 3 things. First of all, we did what I call internet investigative sleuthing. And so this is a kind of forensic internet investigation where I and my students dig into cases online to try to find out what we can about them. And the second was we did field work. So we visited as many cases as we could of investments that had actually happened or those that had failed, and then tried to find out what had happened. And third, we looked very carefully at the Chinese government incentive structure. What were the policies? How did they go about trying to encourage investment, and what could we find out from that? I think the idea that Africa might be feeding China, this is not something that people that really know Africa probably believe, because Africa is a big food deficit region. Every year, for example, they're importing about 10 million tons of rice. So that's an enormous amount, $5 to $6 billion. By and large, most countries are food deficit. And so the idea that they would be feeding China when they can't feed themselves is very unrealistic. However, I do think people that don't know that might look at the amount of land that people have in China, very little, the amount of people they have there, very many, and then Africa seems to be a vast area with a lot of land, and so it seems like a natural that the Chinese would want to grow their food there.
The video has a specific format. It is an essay written on the base of the presented book. We will try to answer the title question in the end of the video. However, the main question that we are answering is, why this book is valuable for a IR student? The possible answer or thesis may be, reading Deborah Brautigam's book gives us a chance to realize that we understand the world deeper and that we have chosen the right career path. In our video essay, we will provide arguments from different dimensions: geopolitical dimension, international affairs perspective, and economic standpoint.
The subsection of the introduction is the explanatory part, which explains the controversy behind the question and gives the general understanding of the basic terms. First and foremost, it's essential that the book is investigation. It aims to debunk the myths about the agri-industrial ties between China and Africa. The basic terms are presented according to the dimension order of the essay.
The first one is geopolitical basic term. According to Luttwak 1990, geo-economic is usage of capital in place of firepower, innovation in place of military advancement, and market penetration in place of wars in the international strategic competition for power. The second one, economic basic term. Malthusianism is a macroeconomic theory that assumes that population tends to increase faster than the supply of food, thus predicting the food crisis because of overpopulation. Thirdly, IR basic terms. Realism as approach to international relations hold that securing national interests is the main goal of the state that exists in the hopeless world of all against all. And liberalism in international relations states that international cooperation and collective security are possible keys to international affairs problems.
The book provides the geopolitical perspective of the relations between China and Africa. To prove this claim, we can use evidence discussed in the third chapter. From the geo-economic viewpoint, China seems to be the neo-colonizer of Africa. However, the same book provides us the counter-arguments to the claim. China is a meritocratic state, which is interested in efficiency of its businesses. This implies that China cannot colonize the land if it is not profitable. It is exactly what is happening in Africa. Chinese projects are closing because of infrastructure lack. Hence, the inference can be made that the idea of Chinese neocolonialism is not relevant. Next, we'll discuss the economic perspective in Brautigam's book.
In Chapter 5, the author discusses the problem of land grabbing in Africa. According to FAO 2016, land grabbing is a process of land purchase by foreign investors from domestic owners and government. This is the reality of Africa. Chinese grab African lands and exploit people.
The question is, why do they do that? Well, they are afraid of malfusion, food crisis, and they are concerned with the question, who will feed the overpopulated China, say Western media.
Nevertheless, there is a counter-argument to this statement. The basic explanation is that we cannot trust media reports of any kind. Media is not a credible source for backing up the argument. In this way, the book itself compares the figures of hectares cultivated by Chinese from the media and from reality. And the gap between these figures can be counted in millions of hectares.
Well, this makes us to infer that China is not land grabbing the whole Africa. Thus, for now, China will be able to feed itself.
The final argument will be based on the perspective of international affairs.
The book motivates to think of how the realist and liberal approaches to international relations work in contemporary life.
For example, China's activity in Mozambique, exemplified in Chapter 1, can be viewed in the scale of both approaches.
From the realistic standpoint, Mozambique is the first Chinese agricultural colony. Chinese build infrastructure there and export the resources that are produced on their industries. From the liberal standpoint, China that enters global market is helping Mozambique to realize its own plans for agricultural modernization.
This argument is a paradox in itself, because it represents the clash of approaches. It shows us that any information can be viewed in different perspectives and be evaluated in different ways.
In our work, we also wanted to provide an alternative view over the pressing issue and to stress some points of the author. Firstly, it seems that Brautigam focused a lot on agriculture and excluded some important issues of other Chinese interests in Africa, for example, industrial development. We know that in long-term and short-term perspectives, industrial development in Africa, accelerated by China, will play an important role in the reinforcement of these ties between China and Africa, as it is a wide range of industries constructed by China, which creates a very significant platform for penetration of Chinese interest towards Africa. That China can consider Africa as its potential market, as the demand on food is crucially high in this region and the food security issue is a tremendous one.
To conclude, we will tell you the book essence and the importance of the book itself. In our subjective opinion, the possible answer to the title question is: Africa will not fit China. It has no capabilities for that. Let us come back to the thesis. The book is valuable for a IR student because, first, it is written in essay style. Second, it is written in discursive tone that of international affairs mixing with geopolitical and macroeconomic perspectives. Ultimately, the book has a critical look on media coverage. Thanks for giving us so valuable books to study.